We live in an attention economy. Start creating or you are the product. Now, I know that sounds like a bold thing to say, but what do Alex Hormozi, Logan Paul, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk realize that 99% of us don't? They realize that we live in an attention economy nowadays, and you either create or you are the product. When you look at Naval Ravikant's leverage pyramid, media and code are the highest forms of leverage and the newest forms of leverage. This pyramid comes from the book, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, and it was a book written by an author that took all of his tweets that he wrote in a tweet storm about what he thought about the world and put them all into a book form. I recommend reading it. So in the pyramid, it goes code, media, capital, and then labor. And back when John D. Rockefeller founded Standard Oil, he had a lot of labor leverage because he had a lot of employees working for his company. And back when he was growing Standard Oil, it was the top company in the world. He was buying up all the other oil companies. He was cutting them on margin because he was more efficient than all of them. And he really was the best entrepreneur. John D. Rockefeller said it himself, but he felt like he was placed by God to make as much money as possible to give it away. And that's exactly what he did. Again, he was paying people money for their time for labor leverage. That's the oldest form of leverage in the book. Ever since humans were on this earth, there's always been some form of labor leverage, whether you were in a tribe and you did labor and you got food and other resources from the head of the tribe or things like this. That was labor leverage. You can go as far back as you want in human history. There was always a currency being exchanged for some type of goods or services. Currency is just something we've come to know today as a form of value exchange, money, in exchange for those goods or services. But governments came up with that to organize everything where people could more clearly understand the value of things with just a dollar or a currency. This brings us into the second form of leverage that was developed by countries by creating this currency, which was capital. A loan is a thing that's borrowed, especially a sum of money that is expected to be paid back with interest. Then came the formation of banks, which banks were created by people, usually entrepreneurs, to loan money at scale to people and receive interest payments at scale. So let's say I gave one person $100 and they were expected to pay that back with 20% annual interest, then they would give me $20 after 1 year. So instead of this, the banks are able to loan more money at scale to more people, say it's 5 or 10 or 20% interest, and then they get that money back at scale. That's the main way banks like Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and credit card companies that process these credit card payments like American Express, Capital One, Visa, MasterCard make money. They make money on the fees and the interest payments where people take a loan of money from them and then they pay it back with interest. Maybe that's a late fee and maybe they pay back the money late, like if you pay your credit card after 30 days, so you have to pay interest on that money. Because credit card companies are essentially giving you a 30-day interest-free loan for most of them, unless you have like an Amex Plum card, that's a 60-day. And then they have certain terms where if you pay that money back late, you pay it back with fees or interest. So technology is advancing more rapidly than it ever has. So this is how a lot of people during the 19th century garnered huge amounts of wealth and got huge amounts of power, is through capital and labor leverage in taking resources on earth and building upon them. For example, John D. Rockefeller, again, he started his oil refinery business in Cleveland, Ohio in 1863. And this business was officially incorporated as the Standard Oil Company in Ohio in 1870, 7 years later. 12 years later, the Standard Oil Trust was formed, pooling together 40 separate entities of oil companies into a single holding entity, basically a holding company, what we know today. And this created a massive industrial empire for the Rockefellers in the oil industry specifically. Finally, in 1911, the Supreme Court of the United States government dissolved that trust, ruling it an illegal monopoly, marking the end of the original Standard Oil entity. Now, you'll see in history that there's always a balance of these things. There's entrepreneurs and people taking advantage of things in the marketplace and providing value, and governments are always getting involved in one way or another because a government in a country is just a business at the largest scale. And in the United States, they don't like when you have a monopoly, and that's getting more detailed into economics. politics, but that's what happened with Standard Oil. Again, the 1900s was all about who could collect the most resources from this earth and build upon that using the forms of leverage available at that time, which was capital and labor. John D. Rockefeller with oil, Andrew Carnegie with steel, Henry Ford with automobiles, J.P. Morgan in finance and banking, which is Chase Bank today, J. Paul Getty, which is oil. I don't know if anyone's been to the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, but that's J. Paul Getty. And even Sam Walton, which is Walmart today, which was retail near the end of the 19th century. Then came the invention of the personal computer in 1981 and the invention of the internet in 1983, which we know of today as the internet that everything happens on. This gave way to a new age of entrepreneurs that were building wealth through internet and technology. For example, one of the most notable people, Elon Musk to this day, the richest person on earth, he was born in Pretoria, South Africa. That's where he first got his hands on a personal computer and he started learning how to code little video games and things like this. And it's funny how these things seem so simple at first. Oh, Elon Musk has a computer, he's learned how to code, like this is cool, my kids learn how to code. Then he went on to found Zip2 and exit it in 1999 at 28 years old for $22 million, which he took home around $17 million, I believe. This is if you see an old interview of Elon Musk on CNBC, Make It or something like this. He has a McLaren P1, I think it was, or a hypercar. It was like $1 million he paid. And if you read Elon Musk's biographies, he was coming to work at SpaceX and Tesla in $1 million McLaren. After Zip2, he founded and built PayPal with the PayPal Mafia. And side note, I don't know if you know about the PayPal Mafia, but they basically built the internet as to what we know today. Most of them also became multi-millionaires, many nine figures, if not billions and billions of dollars. And this shows the importance of working with A-level talent and an A-level team. And they were all absolutely obsessed with keeping this culture of A-level people and obsessed with building great products for the marketplace and beating everyone out. I say it a lot of times, but business is war, and they assembled the best team to go to war with to beat out all the other companies. Because during the internet bubble, 90+% of companies failed, and PayPal was one of the ones to make it out and become highly successful. Peter Thiel was on that team, founder of Palantir. He's worth $27.5 billion today. Max Levchin, also a multi-billionaire, co-founder of Yelp and founder of Affirm. I don't know if you have ever paid for anything with the financing option Affirm, but it's absolutely everywhere. Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn. Everyone uses LinkedIn. Pan, which was a co-founder of YouTube. Everyone uses YouTube as well. This is a YouTube video. This is just to name a few of the members, though. A lot of them are partners at private equity firms, gone on to be engineers, found other companies or co-found them. So it's absolutely insane to see what these people were able to do. And this is the new age, whether you like it or not. You're either coding or you're creating media. And for media, building a brand, building an audience on these platforms was like gathering resources and building in the 19th century, whether you were drilling for oil or you were mining for steel or things like this. It's the same thing as building a brand and building an audience on the platforms. You're drilling on each platform: YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. And these are the two highest forms of leverage on Naval's leverage pyramid: media and code. And this was from the inception of the internet. Both forms of these leverage were not around 50 years ago, which that's insane to think about. My grandma, she's 90 years old. So for half of her life, she wasn't even alive to have the internet and things like that. For all of my life, the internet's been around and videos and phones and stuff like this. So I can't even imagine a world that it's not like that, but that's how quickly technology is moving. And nowadays, the youngest billionaires, the people that are amassing the most amounts of wealth, are either people building a brand with media or they're either coding technology. Mr. Beast, Jimmy Donaldson, became one of the youngest billionaires at 26 years old by building the largest YouTube channel and then building brands or companies off of that. Because he basically took all the attention from the YouTube channel because it was only entertainment, and now he's building a chocolate brand, which is Feastables, and then he's also building like little lunch things for kids, which is called Lunchly. In between all these, he was able to become a billionaire. Kylie Jenner, same thing. Her company skyrocketed in value, and she technically became a billionaire at 21 years old through her makeup brand, Kylie Cosmetics. Now, I don't know if she's actually a billionaire technically anymore, but at the time she was. Those are two people in media, but Evan Spiegel, founder of Snapchat, he became a billionaire at 25 through founding Snapchat in 2015. Now, I know the term billion or billionaire gets thrown around like crazy these days. if you go on the internet, you're going to think everyone's a billionaire, but it's really not the case. I'm just using these as extreme examples to prove a point. There has never been another time in history where humans were amassing sickening amounts of wealth in their 20s, like $1 billion. Now, before someone goes and tells me in the comments, oh, like, of course they weren't making $1 billion. There wasn't even $1 billion 1,000 years ago. I get that, but I'm saying relative to how much money people have and how much money's in the marketplace, these people are making more money than ever. And this is, again, from the leverage, and I'm going to keep beating this down, that you get from media or code. Let's say you code a software or an app one time and it's used by millions of people. That is an extreme form of leverage. Maybe it took you 1,000 hours to code this thing, which, to be fair, is a good amount of time, but let's say you have 1 million daily active users at an hour each. That's 1 million hours of other people's time daily, and it took you 1,000 hours to code this thing total. I don't even know the percentage return on that or the multiplier, but 1,000 hours for 1 million daily hours. 365 million hours a year for 1,000 of your hours. And I know these seem like crazy numbers, but for reference, two of the biggest metrics looked at in software are daily active users and daily session time. Facebook, which encompasses Facebook and Instagram, founded by Mark Zuckerberg, has 2.1 billion daily active users. I believe there's only a little over 7 billion people in the world, so that encompasses like a large chunk of the world, about 15-20%. And they spend an average of 30 minutes per day on the platform. That's 1.05 billion minutes a day from people on Facebook's platforms. Now, obviously, Facebook has tens of thousands of employees and they're always fixing things and updating and coding, but it does not compare to the amount of time. That's 365 billion plus minutes by other people a year on these platforms. That is so crazy to think about. And it's even crazier that that's the average. So there's people spending 6, 8, 10 hours a day. I know I have on Instagram and Facebook in a day. And maybe there's people spending 5 minutes a day. But the average is 30 minutes a day. And think about it. Every human has 24 hours in a day, and they're choosing to take 30 minutes of every single day. You have to sleep for 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. You have to eat. You have to go to the bathroom. So 30 minutes of their free time a day on average on these platforms. And remember, you get paid in proportion to the value that you provide to the marketplace. It's not that Elon Musk or Kylie Jenner or Mark Zuckerberg are working extremely harder than the next person. Now, to be fair, they do work extremely hard and much harder than the average person, but they just have extreme amounts of leverage. If, say, you were to work just as hard as Mark Zuckerberg and be just as smart and it was a level playing field, but he has the leverage of coding something, he spends a couple hours of his time and then people are able to use that forever and you don't have that, then he's going to crush you every single time. It's an unfair advantage. And this is a general rule in my life from most of the successful people in the world. You only want to play games that you have an unfair advantage in. Jeff Bezos said it himself, but he does not want it to be a level playing field with the next person in business. Because again, business is war and you go to battle. And would you want to go to battle or go to war with somebody that's just as good as you? I know I wouldn't. I want to have some unfair advantage where I can't lose. And obviously you can go to the casino, you can gamble and things like that. That's fun. That's leisure activities. But if this is your profession, this is your job, this is your life's work to build a business or be an entrepreneur or whatever it is, you have to take it absolutely seriously. It's the same way a professional athlete in the NFL treats their profession. Their diet is absolutely dialed in. They're working out 2 hours a day. They're recovering hard. They invest in the best coaches in the world, and they spend a ton of time practicing. Like, this is your craft. And the great equalizer of life, no matter how much fame, money, anything you accumulate on earth, is time, because everyone dies at some point. That is absolutely guaranteed. No one has figured out how to escape death yet. And that's how all those people are getting way more leverage, because we all have 24 hours in a day. And again, these are extreme examples. This is absolutely not the average, but extreme examples prove a point. And there's countless people that are not billionaires, but they're still crushing in their own life, building brands and coding. They're posting on social media, YouTube videos, TikTok Reels, Snapchat stories, just like I'm posting a YouTube video right now. Jack Dorsey is an example. I know a lot of people make fun of him, and I don't really agree with his business models, but you can't call him broke. At 22 years old, he's worth millions of dollars, and I believe he's doing over $1 million a month and still is. That's from social media. FaZe Rug He's 29 years old, and I believe his net worth is $30 to $50 million plus. It's not like exact, but that's all from posting YouTube videos. And then all the money he makes from YouTube videos, he just goes and invests that into real estate, because real estate is not the best investment anymore. Just like if you want to go start an oil company, that's not the best way to gain wealth these days, because those are saturated industries and all the market share is already gobbled up. If you've ever read the book Blue Ocean Strategy, it talks about in a blue ocean, there's lots of fish. Like a shark can go into a blue ocean and eat lots of fish and get a big meal. But once a lot of sharks find that place and they're eating fish, it bloodies up the water and it's much harder to get fish and you have to fight more. So you don't want to be in a red ocean that's all bloody. You want to be in a blue ocean that no one's at and you can just eat all the fish. I can go on all day. Jake Paul and Logan Paul, who are superstars in the world at this point, they started out in middle-class Ohio just posting videos on Vine. Clicks, who lives in Dallas, he's 21 years old, and he's worth over probably $30 million at this point from streaming and posting YouTube videos and playing Fortnite. And my point with giving all these overwhelming examples and showing the data is that it's overwhelmingly becoming a world of people that take advantage of these forms of leverage and people that don't. So where does that leave you? Well, it's really up to you. Whether you enjoy coding and you're more of a software engineer, you're more reserved and you like sitting on your computer all day and just coding, well, coding's probably the route. But if you're more outgoing and you like speaking and you like talking to people and you like being on camera, then media is probably the route. But either way, it's becoming a world of people that are either doing it or they're not, and you have to pick one. It's not going to be a matter of if you want to build a personal brand or if you want to code something. It's going to be a matter of when did you start and how early did you take advantage of the opportunity when it was still not a red ocean and all bloody. Just like it was about who could gather the most resources in the 19th century, now it's about who can gather the most attention. That's the reason I'm posting this YouTube video right now, and I decided to go all in with media at 18 years old, and that was after having successful businesses, doing over $250,000 in revenue from my reselling business. I decided to completely shut it down and say, I'm picking up a camera, I'm figuring this out, and I'm going all in with media, and YouTube's my favorite platform. I enjoy those videos the most. I'm betting the biggest on YouTube, so more specifically, YouTube. I also really enjoy making cool videos, filming, taking cool pictures. It's a thing I do with my brother and my friends, and so it's kind of a win-win for me. And that's what I mean. You have to pick what works best for you. If you enjoy being at a computer and coding and solving math equations and different types of things like this, then coding's going to be the route. And if you enjoy being on camera and speaking and being outgoing and stuff like this, then media is definitely the route. But you have to pick one. I'm not telling anyone how to live their life. I decided media was the route for me, and I decided that I want to have a better life that comes from having more money and stuff like that, because the other side is not having that, and I think that's honestly a harder life to have. So I'm trying to take the easy route here, and this is what I decide for myself. And for example, if you're not sure which one to pick, I would just start and see what you like, get a feel for it, because just because I'm doing mostly media and stuff like this does not mean I'm not taking advantage of coding and software. And with AI getting better and engineers getting cheaper in third world countries and things like this, you can take advantage of both. Another book I recommend that I just finished first week of 2026 is How to Make a Few More Billion Dollars by Brad Jacobs. He talks about a lot of these concepts, where the world's heading with AI and everything like that, so I definitely recommend reading it. And like the title suggests, Brad Jacobs, he's made a few $1 billion multiple times over, so he knows what he's doing with it. These are the lessons I learned about the new attention economy. I could really go all day about this and speak about it all day and give countless examples. Usher found Justin Bieber on YouTube. Charli D'Amelio, who now has a ton of brands and worth over 100 million and lives in this mansion in LA, she started on TikTok. And again, there's countless examples. Even if you're going to make 10 or 50 or 100K per month, I'm not a big materialistic person, but I do believe money solves money problems, so you might as well have more money. And hopefully this helps. So the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today. So go out and take advantage of it, and let me know how it goes. I'll see you in the next one.